Um, so I'm just gonna very quickly go ahead and talk about, I just introduce what is Windows Azure. Maybe some of you have already heard about it, read about it. Now I'm going to talk about why Windows Azure, okay? Why it makes sense to look at it in the first place, okay? So these are the three main areas which compel me or might encourage you to look at Azure. And once we go through this quickly, I will also have a couple of demonstrations that I will want to showcase, show you how the portal looks like, how easy or difficult to navigate through, etc. Now, what I mean by time to market, as we discussed earlier, is that the turnaround time to market your product solution becomes fast, which means you deliver fast. There is less waiting time in terms of procuring hardware or scaling your systems and services to new scales. So when it comes to right from provisioning to maintenance, hassle all will be taken care, because it's not on your data center, it's Microsoft data center. Okay. Having said that, as I have initially mentioned, word of caution: if you are going the PaaS way, there are things different than when you go the IaaS way. Okay. And since a lot of people in India have a great uptake about infrastructure service, I'm going to talk about that in greater detail. You can, however, you are actually making this transition towards the cloud, doesn't mean that you have to unlearn a lot. Okay, whatever you have learned is not going to go redundant. So the tools that if as a developer you have been using certain tools, you can use the same tools or development platforms on the cloud. If you are an infrastructure person and you have been managing your virtual machines, managing it remains the same when you go up in the cloud, and I will go about those things in details in some time. Nothing changes from a day-to-day activity perspective, which means that there's no learning curve again. It actually ties back to time to market, which means that if I'm taking the journey to the cloud, doesn't mean that I have to hire 5 new people with new skill sets. No. And likewise, if I am a regular person in IT, I am not redundant because cloud is now it's coming in. You just have to up your skill a little bit and you're good to go. There's no reason to learn a lot of new things very, very differently just because your workloads are not now going to run on the cloud. It remains very much the same. And you innovate faster. Now, this is very, very important, because what we have seen, and it is not only IT industry, it's any industry, whosoever does it first, does it fast, takes the most of the benefit and the market imagination, right? It's no-brainer. And it is not particular to technology, it's particular to anything. So when it comes to your solution, if you are building it on-premise and building it took you 3 months, and if you go in the cloud and you have accomplished that in 1.5 months time or 1 month's time, of course, you have a better chance to compete with your competitors, right? Open and flexible, what does it mean? That I as Microsoft, give all the third-party platforms equal opportunity to run on top of our data center and shine, right? Which means that Linux is a first-class citizen on Azure. It's not that if it is Azure, I'm only going to run Windows operating system. Of course not. We have got a lot of sources, and when I will show you the demo, you'll see for yourself that even the gallery that we are giving by default in the management portal has a lot of open source technologies and framework available for people to go ahead and consume. So if you are a developer, you can go ahead and start developing on Azure. You don't have to worry about server, virtual machine, nothing. You simply go and start building your cloud service or application or website. So you start, for you it is a platform. Use it as a platform, as a service, and you do what you are good at, development, right? So if you write codes, if you develop new solutions, you do that. Don't worry about what lies underneath. That is what we take care of. Right? That's what platform as a service is. So you can, if you have expertise in .NET or Java or Ruby, Python, or a lot of new things are coming in, there are all these languages available for you to use as a building block and build your own solution, right? And same goes with databases, content management frameworks, etc. So when it comes to building anything on Azure, right from databases, middlewares, content management framework to the language in which you write your code, it remains the same, and to the operating system. So it is absolutely flexible and open. You can bring whatever makes sense to you. And of course, economics, right? I am actually going to charge you for what you consume. And that's what true cloud economics is all about. And this is one of the most important factor why people move to the cloud. I'm sure it is no-brainer that I am only going to pay for what I'm using. What does that mean? It means that if you have X amount of resources that you're consuming, you pay for X. Tomorrow when you consume 5X, I will charge you 5X, and maybe later if you just use 1.5X, I will charge you 1.5X, or if it drops down to 0, it's all right. You can any day say that I want to move out of cloud, and your billing stops, right? So it is absolutely based on what you consume is what you pay. Very, very relevant for a lot of your own workloads that you might be running on your environment right now, right? So let's look at one of the very oftenly identified workload for the cloud, and that is websites, public-facing websites, test and dev environments. So in public-facing website, nobody keeps customer data, any kind of sensitive information, etc. Right? So even if you are a skeptic for cloud, that is one thing which can go up on the cloud, and it makes all the sense, right? So your website, if you build on the cloud, it can take up whatever load is been thrown at it. If it requires elasticity, it will flex itself and shrink itself, and you don't have to really worry about. And you pay for what is being consumed. Likewise, there are so many other workloads that make sense. I just spoke about test and dev. If let's say take an example. So the first example I gave was for website, which comes under the platform as a service category. But let's look at infrastructure as a service category. You've got a test and dev environment on-premise, and let's say there are 10 developers who work on it, and the projects that they're working on, and hence you provide them in virtual machine. Now, if I choose to put it in the cloud, how things differ? One, I might not have any more servers left in my data center, but I can still give my developers a working space, a compute environment. Second, since it is a test and dev environment, I can choose to shut it down when they are not working. So I might only run those virtual machines for 8 hours a day, and I will only be charged for 8 hours a day, and weekends I don't turn them on. Okay, so it makes a lot of sense from that perspective. So the very first thing that comes to a lot of people talk about what is the difference between private and public cloud. Of course, the biggest difference